everyone. On behalf of the Mental Health Advisory Board, I am Councilwoman Dr. Naya Glover, joined by our board member, Ms. Ashley Martin, who will be actually leading our presentation tonight, where we'll focus on supporting the supporter, prioritizing mental health for caregivers. Dr. Martin brings a wealth of knowledge to us. She's an LPC as well as a board certified behavioral analyst. So here we're going to talk about this topic because it actually truly matters to ensure that we are empowering our caregivers. So caregivers are the unsung heroes of excuse me, unsung heroes of healthcare as well as human service systems. Whether they are caring for aging parents, children with disabilities, veterans, or patients in clinical settings, caregivers often prioritize others' needs over themselves. So this often leads to fatigue, isolation, as well as burnout. So this webinar aims to recognize caregiving as both a labor of love, but also highlight mental health risks that are associated with caregiving. We will share important tools and resources to strengthen emotional resilience and maintain balance. We will highlight Fayetteville's ongoing commitment to mental health education, as well as, again, provide those caregiving resources that are needed. So when we invest in mental health of caregivers, we safeguard the well-being of everyone that they actually support. So I'm going to allow our actual host here to go ahead on and take over defining caregiving and why it's important in our community.
Yes, thank you
Martin,
so much, Dr. Glover.
thank
And
you.
for all the caregivers out there worldwide, just know that you are much appreciated and give yourself a pat on your back because you are doing an amazing job. When it comes to caregiving, as far as the definition, just knowing that you are a trusted individual that's providing competent care, whether it's the physical, emotional, or logistical support that you offer someone unable to manage their day-to-day life due to illnesses or disability or trauma or aging conditions. Some types of caregivers may include informal or family caregivers, typically are unpaid or relatives, family, or friends. Professional caregivers, whether you are a home health aide, a nurse within the mental health profession or social work profession. You have those secondary caregivers when it comes to teachers and clergies and volunteers and those who support emotional and community care. And far as the national context, according to AARP, data from 2023, there's 53 million Americans identify as caregivers. That's a lot. A number expected to rise by 20% in the next decade due to aging populations and chronic illness trends. Next slide, please. All right, next we're talking about the burden, and we're going to kind of highlight some positive outlets for emotional distress. When it comes to caregivers, they require empathy, patience, endurance, but constant emotional labor can lead to compassion, fatigue, and burnout. Compassion fatigue arises when exposure to others' suffering drains emotional resources and causes numbness. Burnout results from prolonged stress without sufficient rest, support, or boundaries. Some warning signs may include emotional exhaustion, irritability, or guilt when taking time for yourself. Definitely feeling that sense of guilt because you tend to put others first before you. Declining motivation, concentration, or empathy. Sometimes you become withdrawal from family and friends and hobbies that you once enjoyed. You tend to lose interest. If left unaddressed, these patterns can evolve into chronic depression and anxiety disorders, which is heightened. It has definitely heightened because of the burnouts, because of the cycles of fatigue.
Absolutely. And just to add to this conversation of clinical depression, anxiety disorder, on our mental health hub, we do have a screening opportunity on there. It's not to diagnose you all, but it provides an opportunity for you all to get some idea of where you kind of lie in these areas. And then from there, there's a lot of great tools that I'll take you all through once I share the mental health hub at the end. But take opportunity to look at the mental health hub for Fayetteville so that you can get a line with where you actually lie on these actual scales. Would you
Yeah.
like me to go to the next slide?
Yes. Hmm. That's a great resource. So definitely when you have the time, just take the time out, whether it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes, just take that time out for yourself. Being able to put yourself first, that would definitely help. Next, we're going to talk about some physiological impacts, those hidden impacts physically and mentally from the consequences of these burnouts. Caregiving stress impacts the body as much as the mind. Some physical effects that you may be experiencing or have experienced or know someone has been experiencing is sleep deprivation, fatigue, chronic pain, hypertension, and suppressed immunity. You maybe wonder why am I continuing to get sick? I'm getting sick all the time, or because of the season change. It's not just because of the season change, because maybe this the time that you haven't given the substance, the nutrients that you need to give for yourself as well. The psychological effects, once again, when it comes to your mental health, if we continue to have these symptoms and not do anything about it when it comes to talking to a trusted individual, etc., then we develop these conditions that, as we can call it, anxiety or depressions or feelings of hopelessness and grief over gradual loss. You have those cognitive strains where you have a decision overload, memory lapse, and difficulty concentrating because you're steady just doing, and maybe not scheduling time for yourself when it comes to breaks, and you end up doing so much in a day or within an hour where you putting so much strain and things on your body where now cognitively you feel like you have a cognitive fog. You're not able to think properly and you forget easily. According to the CDC, caregivers are at a 26% higher risk of early mortality compared to non-caregivers due to chronic stress exposure and lack of self-care. I'm gonna read that percentage again, but it's pretty high, 26% higher risk of passing early compared to non-caregivers due to stress alone. Next slide, please. All right, the ripple effect of family and social dynamics. Um, Basically, this is talking about the unbroken cycle effects um, and how it affects everyone within that circle if you don't address the stress. So when a caregiver struggles, the entire family ecosystem is affected. Children may assume adult responsibilities prematurely. Partners may feel neglected or overwhelmed. Extended family may disagree about care decisions and finances. The financial strain often combines emotional stress, especially when caregivers reduce work hours or leave employment entirely.
Mhm.
The Family Caregiver Alliance reports that family caregivers lose an average of 300,000 in the lifetime income and benefits. Thus, supporting one caregiver supports multiple generations simultaneously.
All right. So looking at this, we're looking at it from the micro all the way to the macro, how it
Yeah.
affects right there directly in the home, all the way out to, let's just say, workplace and all other systems that plays a vital role in that person's life can start becoming affected, correct?
Correct, correct. And just think about that in alone, that financial stress,
Mm-hmm.
how those burdens and that stress from that impacts that caregiver
Mm-hmm.
if not addressed.
Absolutely. Okay.
Okay, next slide, please. Next, we're going to talk about how to break that stigma by reframing the narrative from sacrifice to sustainability. Many caregivers internalize the message that self-care is selfish. This belief must be replaced with sustainability thinking, acknowledging that self-preservation enables long-term compassion. So being able to put yourself first is not necessarily selfish.
Mm-hmm.
We need to normalize rest, taking those breaks, preventing collapse, not commitment failure. We need to acknowledge the guilt, validate how we feel in those emotions without judging ourselves. And we need to shift the identity that caregiving is just one role, not the entire self. My saying is always, if you're not taking care of yourself, how can you take care of someone else to the best capacity that you can? This quote here says, "You deserve the same care and compassion that you give to others."
Absolutely.
All right, next slide, please. Next, we will highlight some strategies and plans to help with self-care strategies when it comes to caregivers. A personalized self-care plan can help caregivers regain control. And these are evidence-based practices. So what works for you may not work for someone else, but you may hear of something that you might have not never tried or want to try new. So here we go. Mindfulness and breathing exercises, just 10 minutes daily, lowers cortisol and improves emotional regulations. Physical activity, gentle stretching or walking releases endorphins. Sleep hygiene, regular routines, limiting nighttime caregiving where possible. Journaling, where you're processing your emotions and reduces rumification. Professional counseling, having access to mental health professionals trained in caregiver stress. And a tip, encourage micro self-care, 5 minutes reset, whether it's deep breathing, sipping tea, giving yourself some affirmations
Mm-hmm.
throughout the day. So you even have a break. When you have a break, take a break. Making sure you're taking a break for you, being intentional for you is important. Next slide. Thank you. Next, we're going to highlight how having a sense of community is
Mm-hmm.
important. And you should, if you do feel alone, hopefully from this presentation, you will no longer feel alone because you know that there are some great supports out here in this community that if you're open to it, you can either seek or join or find out more information about. So isolation is one of the biggest risks for caregiver burnout. So you may want to join a peer support group within your local hospitals, churches, nonprofits, and they often host meetings. You want to may seek respite care from programs offering short-term professional care so that the caregiver can rest. You may want to use technology such as apps like CareZone or LOSA Helping Hands organize care schedules and volunteers. You might want to connect locally to the Fayetteville's Mental Health Advisory Board and Georgia Caregiver Coalition are key hubs for information and assistance. Encouraging caregivers to connect with one another, with others who get it, that fosters empathy and shared strength. It's important to understand the network is networks of individuals that does get it, that does understand. And you will feel like you still have a voice. You will still feel heard and be heard. So that's the most important thing when it comes to networks. All right, next, please. All right, next we're going to talk about some influences that you yourself may have when it comes to your faith or culture or resilience. Caregiving is deeply influenced by your cultural and spiritual frameworks. From faith traditions, often view caregiving as a sacred duty, providing meaning and purpose. However, the stigma about mental health care is some communities can prevent caregivers from seeking help. Encouraging the dialogue between faith leaders and mental health professionals can help break these barriers and promote holistic healing. Resilience growing through the connection by prayer groups and cultural rituals and shared values that provide both structure and hope. Once again, a sense of self, a sense of worth, being heard, but yet still being able to carry on your traditions and what you do value, and having that network that understands that is important. Next slide, please. All right. Now we come to an action plan, and we can break it down in steps. So these are actually steps um, for you to try to change and work more on your self-care. Practical ways that these attendees here can apply what's been delivered. First, you want to identify personal stress triggers and document them weekly. You know what your triggers are, you know those things that tend to bring that discomfort. Two, you want to commit to one act of self-care daily. Just one thing daily, whether it's walking, going to bed earlier, or resting in general, or calling someone, just calling a friend just to talk. But you want to do that daily. Three, you may want to schedule a mental health check-in by going to therapy. If you're employed, maybe you have an employment assistant program or EAP program that you may want to inquire more of to get approved to see what providers will be able to assist based off of your insurance and also joining a support group. Number four, you want to communicate boundaries clearly to family and friends. And having the boundaries is important because then you will be able to not only communicate, but also making sure you're communicating for yourself and you're putting yourself first as well when it comes to things that you need. And five, you want to participate in next month's webinar. It's called Thriving Through the Winter, Brightening the Season with Seasonal Depression Awareness. The time of the year can definitely bring about or heighten depression symptoms. So attending these webinars monthly is a great way to help reduce these symptoms that you are currently dealing with.
Awesome. And also kind of moving forward with the Mental Health Advisory Board, we're going to start looking into doing some groups and things of that nature for our year two so that we can ensure that you have access right here in your own city for the support, that additional layer of support as well, just outside of the home, but also looking at the Facebook page for the city of Fayetteville so that you can stay abreast on all the events and things that are going on as well. Just getting out of the house, being around other people actually help with, lowering or lessening those symptoms as well. And Ms. Martin actually have a wonderful practice here that you can actually look into, and you'll speak a little bit about your practice and what you actually offer as far as what we're talking about tonight when you're looking at depression, anxiety, and things of that nature.
Yes. So we are located in Fayetteville, 500 West Lanier, Suite 608,
Mhm.
and we service as young as 18 months to 99. When it comes to the topic at hand, we do offer caregiver stress counseling. It's a 8 week program. Outside of that, if you're not interested in that, we do offer individual therapy as well as family therapy. But going back to the caregiver 8 week program is really honed into behavior coaching. So it's more so like focusing on your behaviors, focusing on those things that you're doing that is adding to your stress
Mhm.
that you may need to modify yourself so that way you're more focused,
Mhm.
you're you're having more rest. You're able to obtain employment if you're wanting to be employed, or you're able to obtain those resources to obtain funding because of you working, providing care to to a family member, for instance, because there could be certain services that you may not be aware of that could compensate you for your time. So just being able to navigate that with you is important. Also, when it comes to the geriatric populations, being able to have those check-in moments with them
Mhm.
so that they also feel that someone is of concern for them and there to listen to them and check on them on a weekly basis. All these things are a great, I would say, attribute that we do offer when it comes to caregivers.
Awesome. I think it's very important for citizens to understand the importance of advocating for self, especially for those external demands. When you're feeling people putting a lot of demands on yourself, being able to, just like Ms. Martin just highlighted, identify those stressors, those external stressors as well, play a vital role in, because I have a lot of clients. It's just difficult for them to say no, to say, I cannot do that. So being able to advocate for yourself is a vital part of this action plan as well.
Yeah. All right, next we will give some additional resources. But first, we want to say thank you all for the support and supporting the supporters. Caregiving is an act of courage and compassion, but true strength lies in knowledge and our own limits and asking for help. Sometimes we have to put that pride aside and
Mhm.
ask for help. Some resources we have the Georgia Crisis Access Line. Here we have the Nominee Georgia Helpline, of course, 988. You just dial in 988 from your phone. It's 24/7 mental health support. And then we also have the Fayetteville Mental Health Advisory Board, and you contact fayettevillementalhealth.org to learn more information. Together, we can build a culture where caregivers feel seen, supported, and sustained.
Absolutely. And please do not forget our mental health hub that have a host of information on there. It's not just about mental health on this hub. It has a lot of resources on there too for all different types of stressors. It could be financial, it could be food insecurity, health insecurity. Also, we have some great tips when it comes to, just like Ms. Martin just highlighted, mindful meditation. So we have different types of breathing techniques on there. So please explore the Mental Health Hub for Fayetteville. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to the Mental Health Advisory Board members, but you can reach myself at nglover@fayetteville-ga.org. And again, the actual direct link to the hub would be fayetteville-mentalhealthhub.org. Again, it's a lot of great information out there. We are typically at all of the mental health, or let's say all of the events that are going on in the city as well. So please stop by the mental health booths if you have any questions. But look forward to a robust plan for our year two. We have been extremely successful with our year one with this initiative that I implemented in 2024. And we're looking to a lot of great things that are to come in 2026. So if you need us, please feel free to reach out. Thank you all so much. And again, if you need us, we're here for you. Have a great night.
Yes, take care.